Preference tends to run in families, and many immigrant families tend to vote Liberal. But sometimes old habits do die, and the Conservatives are pushing hard, trying to win over vote-rich immigrant communities. Julie Van Dusen zooms in on one such community tonight in Ontario to check the vital signs of those old habits.
It feels like the Far East. It smells like it. It sounds like it. In fact, this is the Pacific Mall, North America's largest Chinese indoor shopping complex, smack in the middle of Markham, Ontario, just 30 minutes from downtown Toronto. 50% of the people who live here are immigrants, most Chinese. They drive luxury cars like these, own homes like these. 65 different ethnic groups live and work together in Markham, making it the most diverse community in all of Ontario. A haven for professionals and entrepreneurs who have realized the Canadian dream. A barometer for the suburban ethnic vote. Stephen Harper thinks his brand of economic and social conservatism, along with his immigration platform, should appeal to this group. But it may not. Jewelry store owner Harita Chu and her manager Cindy Kwong are voting Liberal again.
They know what they're doing. Economy-wise, they've been doing a good job for the past many years. So as a business person, I'm more confident voting the Liberals.
I think things worked really, really well. With the Conservatives, it's hard to say what sort of a game they'll play.
The Conservatives are up against a tradition of immigrant families voting Liberal.
My parents, they're immigrants, and for them, I think, again, it's when they first came up with it, what they felt comfortable with platforms, and from there, again, they look each year when it comes to election time, what values they see they would vote for, and it's been Liberal time and time again. And for us growing up in that sort of a household, I think it's kind of stuck, which is why in our mind, it's Liberals first.
Immigrants are transmitting from one generation to the next the preference to vote Liberal. You just don't see that amongst longer settled Canadians.
Rudyard Griffiths is the director of a think tank, the Dominion Institute. He recently conducted a major poll examining the voting patterns of immigrants and their children.
It's a powerful sense of attachment to a party that they perceive as being responsible for the policies of the Pearson government, of Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who really opened up immigration, who built the idea of the multicultural society. The Liberals own that.
The challenge for the opposition parties is to pry that vote away from the Liberals. If they can do it in Markham, it bodes well for their chances in other ethnically diverse communities. Over the years, the NDP's message has sold well with immigrants in the inner cities. But when it comes to the middle-class suburbs, the battle for the immigrant vote is between the Liberals and the Conservatives. Last week, the Conservatives held a well-orchestrated immigration announcement, set against a backdrop of multicultural faces and a huge Canadian flag. An event that Stephen Harper could never have imagined in his days with the Reform Party.
Today I want to talk specifically about how my new government will address the concerns of hard-working immigrants and new Canadians.
He promised to gradually reduce the landing fee of $975 to $100 and make it easier for immigrants to find work in their field.
Traditionally, the Liberals have again stated that, they own the new Canadian communities. Well, no, they don't.
Conservative MP Deepak O'Brien began trying to win converts for the old Reform Party. He says it's finally paying off for the newly minted Conservative Party.
When I first came here in 1997, I spoke in a room that could hardly have more than 20 people. Last time I came here, the room was 650 people.
Back in Markham, Joe Lee agrees that ethnic voters are more receptive to the Conservatives than ever before. He's running for the party in one of the Markham ridings, facing off against incumbent John McCallum.
The Liberal government always claimed to reflect diversity. I disagree with McCallum when he says that his government is protective of multiculturalism. That's totally wrong, because it was under the Brian Mulroney government in 1986 that we created the Department of Multiculturalism.
Thank you very much for your
Liberal MP John McCallum is running for the third time. He beat Jolie by more than 20,000 votes in 2004. The Liberals have also promised a gradual elimination of the landing fee. A mid-campaign announcement made on the eve of Harper's immigration platform.
While I take nothing for granted, I believe the conservatives from Markham tend to be progressive conservatives, conservatives with a conscience. And I don't think that either the traditional small C conservatives of Markham or the immigrant community will go in a big way for the more individualistic, hard-line conservatism of Stephen Harper.
Talk show host Simon Lee isn't so sure that the Liberals can count on the Chinese vote in Markham the way they have in the past.
Because this riding, we're talking about, we do have quite a lot of voters who come from Hong Kong, who is a bit relatively wealthy, dislike high tax rates, and the conservative platform is certainly more favorable to them.
He also says conservatives could pick up some protest votes on a number of issues.
They were unhappy with the way the government handled the head tax issue.
The parties have been jostling over how best to make amends to Chinese immigrants who were forced to pay a tax when they entered Canada between 1885 and 1923. Unlike the other political parties, the Liberals at first refused to apologize. They've since agreed to do that, but it's not clear the strategy will mollify angry voters. He says his listeners are also furious at the Liberal organizer who compared NDP candidate Olivia Chow to a Chow Chow dog on his blog.
They find that this is quite offensive, and especially they were very uncomfortable with the fact that a Chinese is being compared as a dog.
Then there's the overwhelming opposition to same-sex marriage.
99%, I have to say, of the callers opposed the same-sex proposal.
The Liberal government's approval of same-sex marriage has upset some other ethnic groups in Markham too. Worshippers gather at the Sikh temple. Many are longtime Liberals who now accuse the party of ignoring their religion. This Markham resident is upset but undecided.
We are not in favor of same-sex marriage, and that is a very important issue for particularly our community.
I don't think wedge issues work particularly well with immigrant communities.
Griffiths believes that same-sex marriage will only be a ballot issue for a minority of voters.
So I don't think you can woo the immigrant vote by pushing on social issues. I don't think that's what's going to do it. I think that you probably can woo the immigrant vote by showing immigrants how you're going to make it easier for them to use their skills, their credentials, their knowledge, their ability in Canada to make their way in the world.
There is no single issue that is driving the immigrant vote in suburban communities around Toronto, and the Conservatives will have to overcome a visceral loyalty to the Liberals. But it's a loyalty that observers say may not be rock solid this time, especially if there's a sense the Conservatives could form the government. For The National, I'm Julie Van Dusen in Markham, Ontario.
Well, our Joe Schlesinger has been reporting on various aspects of this campaign. Tonight he picks up on that theme of party